All right. Hi. Miss Alfred, sijui kama umeona my request. Are they not working? Can you guys hear me? Yes.
Niaje mzee?
Poa sana.
Kufiti man. Umepotea 2 Thursdays man.
That's
Kwani
mambo imekuwa ngumu. There's a lot has been happening over the three Thursdays over the last month.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but we are back hopefully.
Kidogo ni
Niliona
down.
you did one very successful one.
That was a really good space. I think it's one of yours was the best. This one was the second best performing. Ilikuwa na watu almost 100 at some point. Did good. We did good. I guess what was it?
Mlikuwa mnaongelea nini? Your internet still sucks by the way.
Njoroge and Co. Ama acha tuone kama nitabadilisha to Starlink for the next month. Acha tuone. But we had an open session mic. We talked about Transion. We had a talk about Transion and Chinese, mostly techno and Infinix. And we also talked about the S24 FE and the compliance ya KRA ya kusubmit the IMEI numbers. That's what we were doing.
Oh, I think nilikuwa na shida ya internet on that day.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so today tuko na a guest, I think for the first 30 minutes, Mr. Derrick, who is from Payless. And I've been on the spot a lot because I used to talk about Payless kitambo when it was launched, and I was like, nilikuwa nashangaa, what is this thing? And what's the use case, and what gap is it addressing and whatnot. And then watu wakasema I am basically hating on the platform, so what better way to have someone tell us what this thing is than a person who is privy to details from the inside. That is why I reached out to Mr. Derrick here. Welcome, Mr. Derrick.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I've actually tried a couple of other times, but you've been a pretty busy person.
Yeah, last week I was away. Work. But
Yeah,
happy to join. My first time, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so I'm recording this because I want it to be turned into a podcast that will go live on TechSpace Africa, the website. Hopefully you don't mind.
That's fine with me.
All right. So I'd sent you a bunch of questions that I wanted to address. I don't know if you saw them.
I tried having a look at some point today. Then I was overtaken with events, but I understand the product pretty well. So
Okay.
I'm very confident that.
So you can take a few minutes to talk us through what the platform is.
Okay, so you essentially mean I introduced to the listeners what Payless is all about, what we're trying to do. Yeah, okay, folks. My name is Derrick Gakuu. I'm one of the co-founders of Payless. Project lead for a very long time, but right now really looking at where the product is going. The other execs are Kev has been in the market for quite some time, very media heavy, very events heavy, and we also have a folk called Brian. In products, we have a team of around 35 guys in Nairobi, supported by 25 guys out of Nairobi, mostly engineering. So, Payless is, I would say Payless is affordable payments and financial services super app. The gap we saw in the market, and we validated this with a lot of research. So we worked closely with TIFA, we worked with the OnePlus to just understand what's the pain point in the market. We are coming from a media-centric or media-heavy, company. So one thing was very clear, that we wanted to build products for digital products for young people, especially under 25-year-olds. But we went ahead still to validate and ask what the market was really looking for. So is a couple of pain points: cost of transactions, 1, 2, convenience, and 3, just how high tech or how just good platforms can be. So that's what we set up to solve with Payless. We are probably the most affordable payments super app and financial services, targeting especially young people, Gen Zs. 18 to 24 is our sweet spot, but a lot of outliers, 25 to 30-year-olds, 30 to 35-year-olds. So when we launched a really, mature tech stack. Our tech stack is, tried and tested in a different market. Our technical partner is a leading payments company in India. So that's when we launched that, that's what we thought we could bring it to the market. Because if you look at mobile money, even the leading mobile money player in terms of tech stack, there's not so much difference with how we positioned ourselves. But then we launched around May. Over the last 5 months, our hypothesis has been really validated in terms of affordability. So Kenyans are really looking for an affordable, way to make their money moves. But not only affordability, but a product that is good as the likes of M-Pesa. So, flash forward, with this week, we're celebrating 500,000 users, which is massive, honestly. This is a fact. We are the fastest growing fintech right now in Kenya and potentially across Africa, especially in terms of the numbers. We have around 350,000 fully verified customers on the platform. We have 275 total active to date. So these are people who've ever done a transaction on the platform. But monthly active is oscillating between 125K to 175K, obviously, because we are still very much in the customer acquisition phase. We are paying a lot of attention on how fast can we grow and how fast can we differentiate in the market, as well as how fast can we, offer value. So the next obviously big milestone for us is to look at then how do we push engagement. And pushing engagement is the ability of customers to do things on Payless that will be, outrightly differentiated from other competitors, especially the market leader. And one of those things was customers, really, really gave us feedback and really pushed us to, increase the ways to bring money into the ecosystem. So happy to also, report to the space that, this week we've enabled add money via bank directly. So this is a partnership between Payless, Tambik, Jambo Pay, and PesaLink. So what happens is, whichever bank you have, you can be able to move money from that to Payless, which cuts costs, massively, because before this feature, the only way to bring money to the ecosystem was M-Pesa. And we had a lot of, feedback around why would I move money to Payless using M-Pesa and then still pay to a pay bill or a till number. But it was still cheap. The fact is, it's actually cheap to transact on Payless. Payless to Green, we're adding money from Green, because our core value proposition is affordability, and then building on that to bring to the space, a lot of value-added services. So, in a nutshell, affordable payments platform, and soon financial services. How you onboard or how you get to access the app is Play Store, App Store. And then you do your usual KYC. We have disrupted onboarding. It's 100% digital. All you have to do is MSSDN, which is phone number. Get OTP, input your ID details or national identification details. We query government database, i.e. the IPRS. Then the third level of it is just take a selfie, take a picture of your ID, which we run some algorithms on the back end to just do face match and document match, and you have a full profile, and you can start to make to make your money moves inside Payless. You can pay bills. You can send money P2P, which is Payless to Payless. You can send money P2P off-net, which is Payless to M-Pesa, Payless to bank. You can also do all the M-Pesa tills and M-Pesa pay bills on the app, which is the Payless X. Mostly around payments. So I don't know if that is a summarize. I don't want to do all the talking.
Yeah, that is pretty good introduction. So your first point was affordability. So my very first question is going to be, when you say affordable, I believe the first time we interacted is because I was doing some math on the cost of transactions on your app compared to the you call it the green app, and my findings were not very positive. I think I found that at the time it was more expensive to transact, not to actually transact on Payless, but to double transact from M-Pesa and then also transact on Payless. So has this been addressed? Is this still an issue?
Yeah, and I think kudos to you. You've really tracked the platform from the very first day. The first week we launched, of course, in build, measure, learn. Startup phase. We were trying to do a lot of things on the go. So during that time we were still fixing the tariff. We were still fixing the tariff module, and of course it wasn't 100%. Very well set up, but as of today, and over the last couple of months, I can confidently tell you we fixed that. For example, we have thou shall be free, which means you transact 4,000 bob and below, you transact for free. Both Payless to Payless as well as Payless to M-Pesa. This is a P2P payment. I think one of the payments that was a transaction, we call this transaction, one of the transactions that was highlighted during that time was Payless to M-Pesa merchants, right, which is a till transaction. Unfortunately, M-Pesa charges for those transactions because it's a business transaction. But one of the key places that we've won big is mostly the P2P transactions. So we're able to fix the tariff. So the 1,000 is free. And then we have what we call Super Sunday. So Super Sunday, and because we're very connected to what customers in Kenya do and how they spend their Sundays, church, family, and all these things. So Super Sunday is free transactions, cross-platform, and off-net, which means on-net, Payless to Payless, Payless to other mobile money, and Payless to bank is absolutely free. We also have now what we call the Gen Free. Like I said, we're very aggressive with young people. So if you're 24 years and below, you transact forever for free on Payless, but this is limited obviously for P2P. So P2P on net as well as P2P off net as well as P2P to bank. The other transactions remain charged because unfortunately the green app has made them very expensive, because they terminate them as business transactions. But one of the things that we are doing aggressively is in the next Payless Y release, we are going to be able to start enabling merchants to accept through Payless, and that coupled with the ability to add funds directly from bank, are one of the areas we think will win with the affordable narrative.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of people have been actually asking for this during this time. The green app is facing a lot of controversy, and you say you are going to onboard merchants. This is another phase of Payless. You are calling it Payless X, Payless Y, and Z.
Z, yes.
Okay, so before I even ask that question, you said you have 500,000 users and you are specifically targeting young people. So when you onboard these merchants, will this change? Your whole idea is just young people only?
Yeah, for starters, so we use the Kenyan way of defining a young person, 35-year-old, but we also have, like I said, we are still very aggressive with under 24, mostly because this is the segment of customers that has been the most excluded. Last year, I spent a lot of times in bank boardrooms, obviously trying to co-create. And one of the things that came up is that, they are not very keen with this customer segment because, quote unquote, they don't have spending power. Because Payless is very long term in its thinking and its strategy, we felt like this is the place to play. Because a 23-year-old today is probably a fourth year, was probably in that phase, hustler. But 2 years, they're getting to the job market, they're starting their businesses, they're making money moves, they're starting to aspire. And that's obviously how we look at things. So in terms of merchant, yes, to an extent, we still be very focused on very young people. Again, a lot of the merchant products that we're building are geared towards guys in the gig economy. So guys who do social commerce, selling stuff on WhatsApp, Facebook, guys who are in the creative economy, guys who are in the creator economy, very much, because for us, this represents both a customer and a merchant. But in terms of the big, established merchants, remember Payless, one of the big ways to differentiate Payless and, for example, the green app is very much anchored in peer-to-peer remittances. It started as an app to send money, from Nairobi to Kakamega. It started as a send money application. We are anchored in payments, right? So we're going very much into, what are the lifestyle money movements that surround a customer from when they wake up. How do they get from one place to the other, that is commute? How do they pay for their parking? How do they shop? How do they, if they're hustling, how do they get paid? If it's the gig economy, how do they pay for stuff in that space? How do they go for shopping? How do they go have fun? So we are anchored in payments. So we are also going very much after lifestyle merchants. So people on tours and travel, events and ticketing. You're looking at merchants in food and drinks. You're looking at even global merchants. So we'll be a 60% mostly young people oriented merchant ecosystem, 40% established lifestyle merchants.
All right. So can you explain to us what those phases, the three phases, what are they?
Yes. So like I said, if you put Payless side by side with the green app in terms of technology, I would say we are at par. And once we do our 100% tech release, we will actually what they aspire to be. Payless, like I said, our tech stack is tried and tested in a different market. And to be precise, our technical partner is the leading payments company in India. So when we were doing our research, we realized that the next phase of payments is super apps, like an app where you can do all your money movements, right? But we did not want to overwhelm our customers with 10, 20 features, on the day of the launch. So what we did is we put the app into 3 releases, Payless X, Payless Y, Payless Z. Payless X is purely payments, right? So we launched as a payment platform, and because we wanted to start from a place where customers are very familiar with, and customers in this market are not new to mobile wallets and mobile money. As a matter of fact, Kenya is a massive leader in payment. So Payless X is what we have today: ability to create an account, ability to add money to that account, ability to do the basic things that any other mobile money or any other wallet can do. And we're already winning. We're already winning, and we're a bit disruptive with the Payless X. For example, 100% digital onboarding. So you don't have to spend half of your day going to an agent or going to a bank to onboard to just get an account. So that is the first place where we've done a bit of disruption. We also have the massive Payless QR code, in the Payless app. So let's say if whoever you're sending money to is on Payless, they can send you their QR code. You can scan it from gallery, or if they're standing next to you, you just scan to send, scan to pay. So those two are already massive features. But we've done a lot of other things, even the Payless X. For example, when we say we've saved customers money, it looks like buzzword until you look at the facts. So to date, we've actually saved pay customers on Payless over 27 million, and if all the 500,000 customers on Payless today transacted and actively use the platform, would save an upside of 144, 155 million, Kenya shillings. Now, what we have done is that we have embedded algorithm in the system where when you perform a transaction, let's say 1,000 on Payless, that piece of algorithm compares that transaction, as if you are going to do it on the green app, and then it tabulates to you the amount of money. And we send this communication to customers every week, and we tell them, for example, hey, we have actually saved you 900 this week, we have saved you 1,000 this week. Now again, it looks insignificant until you look at the volume gap, and then you start to see the real picture of how much money is really spend in terms of transactions, benefiting not the customers or not the ecosystem or not the country, but just stakeholders in some businesses, right? Now we're actually going to take this to the next level, because when we send customers these messages, we tell them we save this money. They ask, where's the money? Right? So we've actually now aggressively innovating around the ability for the customer to see that money. So what's going to happen is that in Payless Y, we're going to have some wallets. What will happen is when you sign up on Payless or get an update, we will ask you to choose a tariff, and you can choose a Payless tariff or a green app tariff. If you choose a green app tariff, and I'll give you an example of a transaction of 1,000, what will happen is, if it's sending 1,000 free on Payless, on the other app is 30 bob. This 30 bob goes to your savings wallet. Now you'll start to see over time how much money you save just by choosing to be on this app. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So Payless X, payments, Payless Y is financial services. Like we said, the key differentiator again in terms of how we think about our strategy is that we want to move very fast from just basic payments and start to introduce financial services on that. And what is financial services? Financial services is the ability to save, ability to access investment, ability to access insurance, ability to be able to just do some things that are beyond payments, right? So Payless Y comes with the merchant app, which is going to be live around some period in January. It comes with the sub wallets, and sub wallets are going to be extremely goal based. So customers say they just don't want to save for the sake of saving, like millennials and the boomers. Gen Zs want to save for very particular things. And one of the things that came up during research was, number one, they want to save for things like ring light to create content, the next iPhone. They want to save to buy the next camera. They want to save for even sherehe over the weekend, which is also informing how the type of merchants we are going after. We have a couple of partnerships with some of the leading banks to create Payless Z, and Payless Z is now the ultimate play, which is what we call the neobank. And Payless Z, at some point from mid next year, will enable customers to open full-blown bank accounts on Payless. And what it means is that they can do checking, they can access all financial services, suit what we call the vanilla bank financial services. They can do, IMT, they can do Forex and whatnot. So in summary, that's the roadmap.
Okay, thank you. It sounds very, very good in theory when you hear what this app is going to be. But when it was launched, and I remember saying this, we were saying, why release it in 3 phases? And maybe you are arguing you didn't want to bombard people with all these features at once. But what you did was release a very, what I would call half-baked up, because all these features you talk about, there are other people who are doing them. So wouldn't it have been better to just release it as one whole big thing?
Yes, one way to look at it is what you said. But you see, we've been in the personally and the team, we've been in the tech space for quite some time, combined experience of around 7-5 years. So the thing is, you do not want to launch a feature-loaded app to a new market. What you want to do is an MVP, okay, a minimum viable product. And minimum viable product can be, crazily, skeletal, right? And then the intention of that is because you want to build the customer, right? One of the things that you do not want to do is sit behind a boardroom and think this is what customers want. As like I said, we thought customers want good tech. But when we go to the market, we realize customers just want affordability. And because, let's be honest, Kenya Kenyans are bleeding in transaction fees. We used to talk about financial inclusion for the last 10 years. I would think right now we should be talking about financial exploitation. And, like I said, we also spend a bit of time just benchmarking, seeing what is happening. We also benchmarked why the Green App failed in new markets that it tried to launch in. They tried to launch in India. They tried to launch some markets in Central and Southern Africa. The issue was when the tech is good enough, while you are expensive, then there's no competitive advantage. There's no leverage, all right? So then again, so we said, okay, let's build with the customer. Let's keep building with the customer. And, from thinking the customers want technology to realizing that the customers want affordability, from thinking that, the customers will do money movements from mobile apps and then find it extremely convenient to send elsewhere, like a payment gateway, to realizing that what the customers want is actually total money movements in the ecosystem and do away with some of the other apps. So that's why we've added Add Money via Bank. And Add Money via Bank is massive in this way. Kenya has little to no problem with cash. Money in Kenya is already very digital. But if you look at the Kenyan ecosystem, 65 to 75% of the money is originating in the bank from the banks, right? So we feel like that ability to build with the customer, constantly listening to the customer, enables us to never deviate from what the market wants. So yeah, I would say that. And yes, a lot of people are building what we do, but they're building it as a business, as we are just an ecosystem. We want to be up here and enable everyone else. That's the picture of success for us.
So you've talked about being a business and, how you are very affordable. And I would like to know, how have you achieved this? It's always the problem with a lot of startups. It's always funding, but you seem to have a lot of funding at your disposal, which I've not seen any story about Payless as a startup in any funding rounds or anything.
Yes. So, and I like that you brought that out. So, for starters, yeah, we have actually done the things we're doing with a fraction of what a lot of other businesses do, and this is because we have been very creative with our marketing. Also, don't forget that Payless is also coming from a media background. Our sister company is Energy Radio, Energy Media, Energy Events, more sound. So we already had customer base to tap into. So that essentially becomes our competitive advantage, that we already have an audience, that, for example, Energy Radio is in Kenya, is in Uganda, soon to be in Burundi and the other markets. So what it means is you have a listenership of around 3.5 million urban young people that you can tap into. Now, the mathematics works very differently from there, but I would say that is one of the key big ways that we were able to win big fast. Also, it was just a founder consensus that having studied some of the challenges, startups in Kenya, Africa, and across the world have gone through, sometimes VC money is a pain in its own way, because and I have a lot of experience with this. A lot of outside investment starts to change the vision of the organization, because how VCs operate and how they think, it is sometimes not very long-term or very sustainable, because remember, some of these VCs are investing money that belongs to the wealthy. So it's annual rounds. So they have to have exited at some point. So sometimes you have a lot of influence on the vision of the company. You have a lot of influence on what you're building. You have pressure to scale into new markets, even when you have not captured a significant market share of the local market. So for us, it's very strategic and very intentional to continuously keep being creative around how we acquire customers and how we keep our bottom line to a manageable level, so that at the point where we actually go actively in the market to raise, at that point we have safeguarded the control of the business. Two, we have really validated what we're trying to do, and we know where the business needs to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, for sure, we've not been very active with raising, and for strategic reasons.
All right, so now this question, and actually anybody listening in, this is actually an open, wherever you can request for a mic or write a question down there in your space, and then we'll have Derrick answer. So you talked about you're not actively looking for funding, and how you're actively using just a fraction of what other people are doing. But building this kind of app is not very simple. I'm assuming you guys have gone into a lot of measures that you've taken in terms of making, you said things like KYC, and there's a lot of gray areas right now in terms of privacy in Kenya. And a lot of people, when they want to use an app and they want to transact and put money in some, they would like to know if the money is safe, what kind of privacy these apps offers, and I'm pretty sure that is not cheap. So where is this funding coming from?
Good question. For starters, it's very important for me to highlight that Payless is 100% as a payment service provider regulated, and we are regulated by a number of government institutions. The first and most important is the CBK. So we're regulated by the CBK. We have customer funds at any time always protected by the trust, and this sits at the Stanbic Bank. We also regulated, and we are compliant with the ODPC, which is the Office of the Data Protection Commission. So what it means is that we do not use customer data in any other way other than to be able to improve the experience, to be able to have them transact in a safe space. Also, we before we launch the app, and this is part of every module we push, we do aggressive cybersecurity checks, pen test, dust, dynamic app testing, and whatnot, to just make sure that our customers at no time are transacting in a safe and proper environment. And other than that, like you said, we are founder bootstrapped. This is public knowledge. Payless is part of Energy Media, so obviously we have a lot of backing from that organization.
All right, thank you. Maybe if someone has a question, Mr. Alfred.
Okay, I have a few questions for Mr. Derrick. Hope you're good, Mr. Derrick. Nice to
I'm all right.
have you with this. So I mean, you've mentioned that your demographics are 18 to 24, second one 25 to 30, and finally your to push is 30 to 35. Well, I mean, your first bracket, the one you call him Gen Z bracket. And this is my question. How is Payless? I think Nigel has also asked it, but how is Payless going to move me from using the apps that I use for money to come and convince me to use Payless? Because right now I'm using an Orange app. I won't mention because for the sake of the space, but I'm using an Orange app right now. And I am using it because it's quite efficient and it's quite cheaper than the green app by a couple of shillings. Now, my very first questions back in August, I think, were what problem is Payless solving? Because at the time, it was the tariffs. And the tariffs were really high for somebody as young as me who's in school and who was doing all my small things. And now, how is Payless working to make sure that you're having this demographic of 18 to 24, especially, move from other convenient platforms to come and move to Payless, and make sure that this ecosystem of 18 to 24 will actually stick with you, so that we can have zero rated transactions? That's actually what you guys are offering currently in this Payless ecosystem.
Yeah, for real. Good question. A good question, and good. I would also look at it as comment. So some of the apps that are not green have been in the space for quite some time, right? I'll give you an example. There is, two main Payless competitors have been here from 2017. They're 2020, and they've not had the growth that we've had. So in terms of just comparative tech stack, I would say if you have used Payless, you'll agree with me that first of all, we've really won and disrupted the UI. The user experience on Payless app is fun, and fun in a way of just breaking down, like, why does money have to be so serious and intimidating? Banks and all these guys. The UI is just very youthful, it's fun, and we're trying to just make it relatable. We're saying we're a brand that build by young people, build around young people, and build for the lifestyle needs of young people. But in terms of just what will make you move is, while the other app is affordable compared to the green app, for Gen Free, we are absolutely free for starters. And if you do a bit of research of what's happening across the world, in a lot of markets, these transactions are not charged. You have to create value in terms of business and stakeholder in value-added services, right? Give a good technology to young people, technology that is also adaptive to the ability to be embedded in young people's everyday lifestyle. And then like you make it subconscious for them to do some of the things they love to do. So affordability, and then the ability to just be very close in terms of brand positioning, UI UX in the app, the user, the tech stack, the team, as close as possible to the audience. But it is not about the Payless X, which is payments. It's where we are going. So for a young person like you said, you're doing things here and there. So if you just give us a bit of time, in Payless Y, we are going to introduce absolute game-changing ideas in terms of actually getting merchants on the platform that can advance massive deals and massive offers to customers. Because you see, Payless is a promise. Payless, the word itself is a promise, and it's not only about transactions. It's the everyday things you do in your lifestyle. And like I said, there is so much leverage points that we are currently doing and will continue doing to bring a lot of things to that affordability matrix. For example, while Orange app, Purple app might not have the ability to do value exchange with the big brands, we have the ability to do that because of our media angle. And then you can say, hey, come, let's have a discussion. Extend this for customers because we can give you media. So those are just some of the the behind the scenes things that we want to introduce to the app and make it absolutely affordable, from transactions to the things you buy, to the things you experience, events and ticketing, tours and travel, gaming, gadgets. All these things are coming to Payless, and they'll be X times more affordable as a Payless customer. So affordability and just how we are thinking about building with the Gen Free and growing with them. Like I said, 24-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 22-year-olds today are going to be getting to the job market 3 years from now. So our merchant play is also looking at the ability to interface these customers at that stage with the things they aspire to do, moving into new neighborhood, buying a car, consumer electronics. All these things are right down in the roadmap, and we just have to be patient about our strategy, learning aggressively and continuously improving the product as per what the customers are looking for.
Thank you for that. You mentioned something about strategy, and I will focus mostly on Payless X and Payless Y. Payless X basically is what your app currently has, and Payless Y is what most of your competitors, the Orange app and the Green app already. No, the Green app doesn't have it, but the Orange app does have Payless Y. And this is the thing. As young people, as a young person, I usually look at aesthetic first of all and what you offer, and you explain to us how you're protecting my data because I'm really wary of my data and all of that stuff. And now and you guys have done a good job, especially in the marketing space. I've seen your billboards near universities and all of that, and even on Twitter. But now as we move on, what is what is your goal full term? Because now we are here and we've been using, some of us have been using these apps for quite some time, and you've been constantly. What incentives, apart from making it 1,000 bob? Is it 1,000 bob? Is it 1,000 bob free transaction?
Yeah, now, yes.
Yeah. Apart from that, what are you going to continue pushing for your clientele, which is, let's say, 18 to maybe then 28? What are you going to push them to actually leave the other apps, from aesthetics to actual dashboards for their monthly spending data and all of that? Because when I'm going to get a financial service app, I am usually wary. Do they have analytics for me? I was checking my analytics yesterday of how much I've used. Do you have this dashboard for me? Can I track, and you, as you mentioned, in a fun way? Can I check my money analytics in a fun way before I start crying a bit of how much I've used and all of that? I think that's my last question.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think early in the conversation, we're already doing this. Okay, so for Payless customers, we have embedded, a bit of technology. It's not there yet, but it's doing the job. So what happens is, if you do a transaction on Payless of let's say 1,000 bob, P2P, P2P offnet, whichever it is, the algorithm immediately compares what you'll have been charged for that transaction on another app. Okay. So now, for example, Payless 1,000 is free. Green app is, I don't know, 27, 25 bob, or orange app is 10 bob, I don't know. It will say, okay, this is what you'll have, been charged on this other app. Now, what we do is that we tabulate all the transactions that you do pay on Payless and compare them. Now, we actively send customers these notifications every week and tell them, actually, Payless saved you 900 bob this week. Now, I talked about the numbers in terms of mass, but if you look at some of the genuinely average use cases that we have on the app, is that there's one customer who joined the product very early on. He does social commerce, selling kicks, tush camera, and the app has literally saved them around 25k. 25k is 25 shoes. It's massive, but because you can't see the money, what we are doing, we are embedding a new way of doing things. So like I said, in the next release around March, Feb, we will give you the ability to choose a tariff. So when you come to Payless, just for the fun of it, just show you how much you saved you, we will give you 3 options as an example. Option 1 will be choose Payless tariff, which means you do the things Payless guys can do. You can choose the green app tariff, which means all transactions will be tariffed based on what the green will have charged you. We'll do an orange tariff. But because we'll have sub-wallets on Payless, what will happen is, whatever is the difference between what Payless charges you and what the other app charges you, go straight into your savings sub-wallet. Now you start to see, and customers will start to see really, how much money is actually just being wasted away in terms of transaction fees, because this will be tangible money in embedded savings that you can actually cash out and use for something. And a lot of people, that means opportunity. Apart from that, like you said, affordability. We constantly are looking at where can we save a customer a coin. The economy is bleeding. You can't overmilk an already overmilked cow, right? So what we're doing is constantly, how do we save our customers a shilling here and there, and how do we let them know that we're actually saving them? And like I said, it's not only on the transaction fees. As we move towards Payless Y, which is a lot of the financial services, and Orange App could be having the other financial services like sub-wallets and all these things, but they do not have a marketplace. So we are, like I said, we have a strategy to bring lifestyle brands that customers interact with on the platform, do value exchange, and tell them, hey, for an events ticket, can you do 10, 20% off for Payless, exclusive Payless customers? And this even to us is a strategy for stickiness, but to constantly do embedded savings, embedded financial services, but in the long run to also bring value and create value for brands that are also struggling to get customers. Now, the end game and how we differentiated from for example, an Orange app. An Orange app is coming from a banking background, so they're not going to be very disruptive. They are still influenced by the decisions of their banking, side. Payless is very disruptive. We have been, and if you've been tracking our progress, is that we've been trying things every day, right? Because we are such an agile, startup that can operate lean, right? Because it's an open platform for us to do as many things as we can do. The future is a nexus of a mobile money app, wallet, and financial services. So that nexus is what we call neobank. And in a lot of other places, people think neobank is a buzzword, but for us, it's very serious. We are like, how do we create an app that does all these things, right? So that customers never need to do, to have multiple wallets, multiple accounts. And we're not saying that we are doing away with the ecosystem. It is also tapping into the ecosystem and having the bigger players like the guys in the banking space, be able to terminate their products to our customers. Because truth be told, in terms of financial services, this customer base is also very underserved.
Hopefully that answers your question, my boy. So we have another person who has the mic. I don't know if they have a question before I go on. Okay, you can speak.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Derrick, I hope you're having a wonderful evening.
For sure.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I've actually never heard of Payless before. Like, I've literally just stumbled upon it right now. But I think I still have the liberty to be curious about a few things. And my questions are going to be falling on the technical side for the most part. And okay, so my question to you is, what kind of technology do you guys use? Like, what's your stack? What choices inspire your decisions? What kind of, is this scalable? Are you guys limited to working under the same constraints as banks, for instance? Because we know that banks cannot be as liberal and experimentative, I guess, in comparison to startups and such things. If you can talk about them, I'd really be willing to know, like, what do you guys use to power the technology that you guys are delivering to the customers and the other individuals?
All right. So I'm not very sure if I'll do your question justice, as I'm not very technical, but I'm very much product. But what we've done is that for starters, we, microservices, obviously that enables us to, in terms of, we have a lot of issues sometimes, and mostly our issues come from traffic, right? In fact, we have done so well because we didn't anticipate this growth initially. We are currently at 500,000, okay, 500,000 plus. We didn't anticipate this growth. Total active around 65%, like I said. So sometimes that level of traffic really puts a strain on how we do things. But the decision around how we have architectured the system is to be always on, right? So we're able to troubleshoot, isolate some few things in there. We have also we've a lot of when we're doing our early research into how a lot of startups or banks have set up their ecosystem or architecture, a lot of them do not think of DC as very important, but it's something we had from day one. So 4 environments, from staging, pre-production, production, plus DC, to always make sure that it's active in some instances what we've achieved. But what I think the best way to answer your question is that everything about Payless is about agility, agile, ability to respond very quickly to customer needs, ability to integrate this partner, ability to integrate this big partner, ability to put, modules in between some systems to have everything speaking to each other in a smooth way. But one of the things that I can also do is to give you a bit more detail, which is a lot of IP on the tech stack, tech architecture. You can just write me an email or write to Payless. And I'm happy to bring in the engineers, the core technology team to give you that feedback. Now, one of the things that you should do is, for starters, download Payless. It's available on App Store, Play Store. Interact with the app. It's very seamless. 1, 2, 3, you're set up with the wallet. Make comments, since you're coming a lot from the tech background. Look at the UI, look at the UX, try just examine how we have set up things. We're happy to also listen to your feedback and your comments, because it helps us improve the system.
Okay. So I still have a question extracted from what you mentioned. So initially, you're telling me that you guys did not expect dramatic growth, and then once it bust open, and I don't know, maybe it was exponential. Did the system become cumbersome? Like, did you guys struggle to accommodate this new growth, or did you guys have to have a smooth time adapting to the situation?
For sure, I would say it was smooth. And here's the thing, and why I'm saying that, and maybe you're not part of the call initially, but Payless is not built from scratch. Okay, so we are reusing an already tried and tested tech stack by one of the leading payments company in India. So what we are operating to a great extent is looking at their tech stack and then reusing some elements and putting them in a roadmap to correspond to the customer needs, because obviously these are two different markets. And this payments leader has 500 million customers. That is like 10x GreenUp. So like I said, tech is actually our biggest competitive advantage, leverage point, but obviously customers don't really focus on it, but they focus on the value proposition that speaks to them directly. So in a nutshell, because of that experience, that offshore engineering talent, we are able to correspond to issues quickly and be able to improve the system. Sometimes as fast more than what other people can be able to do. And that's why I said, for example, for the Orange app, I would look at really one of the biggest challenge being just that base of coming from that legacy sort of thinking. And a lot of tech startups across Africa really struggle on tech stack. We did not want to make that mistake.
All right, thank you. Hopefully you've answered this question. Because of time, we have a question here by Jesse Leslie, and I think I can frame it better, because this was part of the question I was asking about your demographics, and a lot of people who are not in the urban areas and whatnot don't have these smartphones or whatever. And the question is, do you have an SDK, maybe an USSD for these people, or you just don't care about those people, kabisa?
All right, good. Initially, we were all in on app. We were like, okay, our customer base, is not going to, have a good night's sleep if they don't have a smartphone. They are focused on TikTok, they are focused on Spotify, Instagram, and whatnot. But then we learned very fast that Kenya is still a very much USSD market. So we have USSD, yes, *661 hash is our USSD. It was live from the month of September. Now, we are still very keen on the app, because the app is the ultimate gameplay. Remember, like I said, Payless is payments and financial services super app. We're able to cross-sell with the app a bit more modules. We're able to, in future, we are looking at mini apps. We're looking at a lot of things, but we still have USSD that enables you to do a couple of things. For now, it can enable you to refer your friends to join Payless. It enables you to bring money into the Payless ecosystem. It enables you to send money from the Payless ecosystem to money out, and soon it will enable you now to do the money movements that are on net on Payless. So Payless to Payless, Payless to merchant, Payless to biller. But we really want to limit those to those critical. You see, those critical transactions that a customer, let's say a customer has lost a phone, or a customer, the phone is off. They're trying to use the feature phone to be able to do. But for us, we're still very bullish around the super app, because we know the super app is a game changer. It enables us to do a bit more. STK, yes, of course, we support that. We support that functionality in the same way.
Okay, so I didn't want to talk about the promise of what Payless could be, but since you've talked about it, and it's a lot of a promise right now, like you're banking on these people believing that you're going to deliver what this app could be. So you said something about your banking and crypto and all of these mini apps that you're going to introduce, and so basically this is not an unbank yourself up. So this is something that could grow into maybe something like the Orange app that you don't. You're saying you're way better in a way better place to achieve what they could have since whenever they started. I've seen 160 days is for 500,000 users is actually pretty impressive. So kudos to you. But so what can you tell us in very briefly, what features should people expect? Maybe you're going to introduce cards, maybe you're going to introduce, what are these mini apps, and these things, this promise. Now let's make this promise something we can come back here in a few months maybe and ask you, okay, what is the progress on this and this and this?
Yes, so for sure, and I think we also attribute our growth to what was also happening in the market. There's something called critical juncture in life. Critical juncture is a lot about timing, and we feel like the timing for us was right. We launched Payless, and there was all the Gen Z conversation around politics, around everything else, and it sort of represented that freedom of expression, because we feel like coming from a creative media background, we are all about expressing ourselves, and if you can express ourselves through a really good payment app, why not? So that, of course, gave us a bit of benefit. And then initially, when we launched Payless, and when we even before we launched Payless, we never considered the green app our competitor. It was never has been, because I'm genuinely not going to convince my mother on the benefits of Payless, mostly because they don't operate a lot in the digital space. They're not always on, and so we wanted to position Payless as sort of saying, all right, green up, you've done very well financial inclusion to date, please let us take it, let us take it forward. And taking it forward is aggressively thinking Pan-African and thinking about the conversations that are going to shape Africa in the next couple of years. And that conversation starts with the youth. Africa today is the youngest continent, 22 years on average. Our youngest country is here, Chad, 14 years, Kenya, 21, Uganda, 19 years. So what that tells you is that a huge percentage of the people you're going to meet on the street are going to be within that age bracket of 15 to 25-year-olds, and these are going to shape Africa for sure. Two, smartphone penetration and internet penetration. We have a generation that has been born into the internet, has seen the benefits of the internet, and internet is injected into their system. So we are benching. We are bullish about the opportunity that the youth represents. Right now, as Africa youth, internet penetration, internet economy, it means that also the audience and the segment is going to be very interconnected. For us, we look at a young person in Nairobi to be very same in thinking and aspirations to a young person in Kampala, Lagos, Kigali, Johannesburg, Cape Town, all of them do the same things over the internet. They're going to know when Cardi B, Nicki Minaj does something at the same time. So, capitalizing on the ability to grow with young people, building a payments platform that can speak to their aspirations, above and beyond thinking around, cross-border, like you said, some of the opportunities. When crypto becomes regulated, when it becomes an opportunity, we are happy to integrate because it speaks to our customers. Now, back to the roadmap. This is big thinking. Back to the roadmap. The next features that the customers are going to be looking at. We have, merchant app obviously dropping somewhere in January, and we're going to look a lot at guys who are doing stuff in the gig economy, the informal economy, also enabling them to accept payments because they represent both a merchant and a customer on Payless. Two, we have the savings value proposition. We packaged it as a sub-wallet. So customers will have goal-based savings. They'll have budgeting tools on Payless. But most importantly, we have a version of the folks who cannot be onboarded as a legal business, just having an extra wallet, to be able to, and this comes with a bit more features to, like, for example, ability to integrate with the PayPals of this world, because we know for a fact these young people are very, making their money moves and earning in the internet ecosystem, the TikToks, the X, all these guys. We want to enable them to be able to pay out directly into the most affordable payments app. We also have, we're going to be very bullish on the QR code. And this is a place we are supported a lot by the regulator, because the regulator, feels that, interoperable QR is the solution to ultimately bring interoperability to a lot of the mobile apps. And the good thing is, most of the apps that are coming to the market today have the QR code functionality. The only problem is their closed loop. So, really capitalizing on the QR and becoming the face of the QR movement is obviously going to give us a bit more of a competitive advantage in terms of termination. We have a lot of things that will come after that, from the virtual cards, that enables you to, pay, do global payments, wallets that can enable you to do global remittances. But like I said, all the things even we thought 6 months ago that are going to be relevant ended up never being relevant. So as we have this roadmap, we also awake to the fact that we really want to see what the customers want, and we will build what the customers want from constant feedback, constant innovation, integration, because all we want to achieve is a ecosystem play in Kenya, as well as taking it to Pan-Africa really fast.
Nigel, are you still there? Anyway, before Nigel comes, Derrick, I had two last questions before Nigel comes back, and I can't even find it. But one of my questions was, in case of app failure, what measures are usually in place, assuming you've done maintenance and all of that stuff for your app for the customers? Because I've not seen Payless, issuing any statement regarding maintenance like other apps do, and if that is ever considered. Two, Payless has been really vocal, especially marketing, from using Twitter influencers to using energy radio. I've seen Kev Mule on the space. Hopefully one day we can have him to speak about radio on the space. When aggressive marketing the way? Because we've seen the push from influencers on Instagram, with Pilot, with Rubani, with a lot of guys even here on Twitter. Is aggressive marketing the way to reach? You can just touch on that really quickly, but my main question was the first one, in case of failure.
Yeah, I've actually seen somebody, I've pinned the tweet up here. Amesema, you guys don't tell them when they have maintenance.
Okay, good question. Again, our leverage point is how we set up our tech operations. So to be honest, there comes, like I said, traffic, challenges that will be mostly on the hosting side, but we have set up our environments, and this is I'm talking about deployments, in such a way that we never run workloads on the production environment, and unless we're very sure that this has gone through some rigorous regression or quality assurance. So we have 3 environments: staging, pre-prod, which is essentially testing. So for any new modules, for any new features, for any upgrades, we run them on environments that are very away from the live environment until we have full proof that they are good. Then we deploy them, right? So I would say so far we've reduced issues then that come out, what we call regression, issues that come up as a result of running a workload then affecting other things. We've really limited that, and that comes with a lot of wealth of experience from our some of the technical partners that we have. But from time to time we have had the disruption of services. For example, the green, there's a period when the green app really did something to our integration with them, and we made a statement in regards to that put down our operations for quite some time. But we were very candid with our conversation with the customers, and we let them know that this is coming from this side, and you are not going to run away from those challenges, especially if you're operating from an ecosystem. Sometimes a partner does something that affects your own operations. So we communicate this. If you're a Payless customer, you'll see that we do this. But in terms of our own technical operations, we've limited that, and mostly because of how we've set up our technical operations. Question 2, and I will just reply to this as a commentator, because I don't do a lot of the marketing in Payless. I'll be doing such a disservice. But if I say authoritatively why we do how we, but I would say we are coming from creative marketing genius perspective. The founder, some of the support system that we have, people who have had very good experience with interacting with the youth. They have even taken some of the products of the leading companies to market, so they understand the market very well. They know how to speak to the youth. And for example, today, that the language of speaking to the youth is a lot of influencer marketing, because that if you look at even across the world, in influencer opinion leaders, can just see what happened with the American election. You have a lot of figures in the world, in a lot of spaces, that really control the voice. And we said, if these are the people we can speak to, that can then speak to their audiences, then that's a good place to start. But feel free to get a bit more detail by just sending us a shout out either on X. I know marketing people are on this space, as well as just writing to us at marketing@payless.africa. We also receive a lot of ideas to continue reinforcing our strategy, because we believe that Kenyans are bleeding. And because of the growth that we've had, it is a testament that people out there are willing to support and be part of a product that can really answer some of these questions and solve some of these pain points, and move into the future when we know confidently that we have homegrown solutions that are not exploitative, but really are enabling and creating opportunity.
Albert, hopefully your question is answered. We have someone else on the mic.
A question to Derrick. I've heard you talk about various environments such as staging, pre-prod, and prod. Maybe to the youthful developers out there in Nairobi and Kenya who maybe would like to experiment with some of your features, is there any way that developers or product techs or specialists in Kenya may be able to, maybe in the future, be able to play around with some of your APIs or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, I like using this part, and I'll give you a good example. Most of the apps, even the leading mobile app in Kenya, it is either you connect to them because it's their ecosystem. It is them, and they've fenced everything to be them. Payless is open play. We want to go platform. We want to go in the ecosystem, which means for us, it's integrate here and there, enable this player, connect to this player, so that, it's platform play. right? So how we are going to do that is to also constantly speak to the dev community, because these are the guys who are going to be building the next solutions. These are the guys who are going to be working in the banking, financial services, fintech spaces of the future. So unfortunately, our API suite is not live as of today, but we had in our roadmap, we've put it as Payless Business APIs to be available around Easter next year. So what that will enable people is to first of all just play around with it, also develop solutions, taking advantage of our wallet as well as our regulation. And this is what we learned about fintech. If you look at fintech, majority of the people have very good solutions are not able to bring them to market very fast, mostly because of what is needed to just first of all be given green light by the regulator. Secondly, it's the ability to just find a customer base audience that you can experiment with. Luckily, Payless has this, and in the spirit of ecosystem, in the spirit of building solutions for Kenyans, as well as with Kenyans, we are working to make sure that relevant APIs are available at some point in April. But in fact, just the other day I was speaking to one of our PMs and I was saying, hey, how about we host DevCon and API Fest? First, immediately we launch our API so that we can take our, the dev community, the young people through what it takes to, build solutions like Payless, but also learn some of the, solutions that we're using. Payless, even itself as a solution, is consuming a lot of external APIs by other leading fintech and fintech, players in the market across the world. For example, our onboarding is enabled by an identity tech provider, one of the leading in Africa. If you look at, of course, money movements, the ability to move money from one ecosystem to the other, it's consuming, APIs even from some of the leading players. If you look at how we are enabling, even right now, we've enabled ability to add money directly to Payless. Again, it's a lot of external APIs. So not only our API conversation is to enable guys understand Payless APIs, connect to Payless APIs, but also create a training ground for the people, young people who can join the Payless dev team, Payless engineering team, and be able to understand how they can fit in and collaborate to build a truly the vision that we have for the country.
All right. So I have one final question, and this is basically about Payless and the expansion. And do you plan on expanding to other markets in Africa, maybe out of Africa? And how does Payless contribute to financial inclusion in Africa as large? Like, what are the specific ways where you empower individuals and businesses, and just not solving these issues they have, and encouraging them to grow and find other problems that you can fix?
Absolutely. We said if you look at all our comms, it is Payless Africa, because from day one, we have always had our eyes set on Pan Africa. And like I said, a young person in Nairobi, a young person in Kisumu, they are literally the same in terms of the tools that they have access to in the internet space to a young person in Uganda, Congo, Lagos, all these places. So taking advantage of the same denominator, which is young people, as well as smartphones. In fact, one of the metrics we pay attention very closely to is growing smartphone penetration. As of today, we have around 440 million smartphones across Africa. That's connectivity. Obviously, that number looks differently because of the people who own 1, 2, 3. But there's a lot of projections by some of the leading guys, like the GSMA. They do a very good job in the mobile telco space, and they've predicted that around in the year 2030, there are going to be around 800 million smartphones across the continent. Of course, this is against a backbone of 2.5, around 1.5, 1.8 billion people. So it's an area where we want to move very fast. Now, because even the technology and our benchmarking has been a lot in terms of East Asia markets, if you go to those markets, you'll now grasp what true interconnectivity looks like. The ability to move money from one ecosystem to the other in a market like India is like, it's crazy. They have this UPI ecosystem. They have a very good regulator that fosters an environment of competitiveness, an environment of benefiting the customer and not, the businesses. So there's so much that is happening in those markets that, we want to benchmark and take advantage of. So for sure, our next market is, okay, according to our plan, we are looking at Uganda as our next market. We are looking at Tanzania. We want to experiment Ethiopia as well. We want to, then scale very fast to Central and South African markets. But now outside Eastern Africa, for us, we're looking at use cases, right? There's nothing like a payment solution. You are looking at specific use cases and solving for those use cases. And we feel like an African currency is a massive use case for us. The ability to create a truly super convenient, affordable payments app that can enable payment termination across Africa, whatever the market. I think that is some few steps towards building an African currency. It is a place that we really want to play, because what it does is that it unlocks opportunity. If you are a content creator and your audience is in Uganda, your audience is in Nigeria, your audience is in Tanzania, how do they get to reward you? How do they get to pay you? And how can you accept that payment in a currency that does not skin you on the FX? How do you accept that payment and access it immediately? Because those are some of the challenges the big brands like the papers of this world, holding funds, how that ability to access funds in real time is a use case that we want to go after in terms of cross-border. We also want to go after use cases that are very speculative once we have regulation for them, like crypto. If it's regulated, if it's an environment that is sustained, it's a place, obviously 10 years is going to change. You can see what's happening with America. In the US, they've elected a pro crypto president, so that is going to change the outlook of the world towards us. Those are some of the things we are privy to. In terms of out of Africa, remittance is a big use case for us. Remittance, number one. Two, how people monetize content is a big use case. If you have content and it's being, people are consuming it in Asia, the US, South America is a big market comparatively to Africa. If they are consuming that content, how do they get to reward you? How do you monetize in real time? So those are some of the use cases we're looking at. We're looking at use cases in global pay, guys who work in the gig space. The issue of currency, the issue of FX. We're looking at other more enabling use cases that help create because it's a global village, and street content is a massive opportunity. Commerce is a massive opportunity. If you're a creator, you're creating art, and your consumers are in the US, how do they get to pay you in real time, and how can you cash out in real time? So those are the use cases then that we will be looking out in terms of out of Africa. Travel is a massive use case. Beyond COVID, travel is going to be massive. So when you travel out of Kenya, we want to limit the thing of carrying hard currency to new markets by enabling things like tap to pay, by enabling wallets that can give you good FX rates. Then you can terminate via tap to pay. If you land in a new country, all you have is just tap to pay with your Payless wallet. And it's a massive use case in terms of global travel and so many more. So I think the picture of success is very clear, but it's a lot of hard work. There has been a lot of pain, I can't lie. But we keep going because we're really focusing on the opportunity.
All right. Thank you. Maybe there's Chege Isaac. Do you have a question before? Because I want to release Mr. Derrick here. I believe I'd actually said 30 minutes, but we've talked for a long time. But it's very interesting to see the uptake and what you're promising people. We'll be here to taona where this goes if you even deliver half of what you've promised these people. These are 500,000 people who are expecting massive great things from your app. And so we are very curious to see where you go with the Payless. Thank you very much for joining us. Maybe you can give us some
Thank you.
few words before we end, if you have anything to add. That is.
For sure, man. Thanks. Thanks for the opportunity. I think, Nigel, I think from the initial days you've been really following Payless keenly. I like the criticism. I also like the enablement, because it's only through ecosystem that we are able to truly build what customers want. I'm not going to lie that it's been all rosy. We've had our own fair, share of challenges, including even some of our, termination APIs being, manipulated, whatever it is. So, but what has kept the product going has been, first of all, the customer belief through the numbers. Secondly, a really massive team. We have a team that is very passionate about the product. We have a founding team that is also very visionary. So I think I can't wait as well. And like you said, obviously the things I said are also a lot of hypotheses. We can only prove those hypotheses by being in the market and constantly innovating. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the app, giving us the good, bad feedback, and really supporting the development. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Alfred.
Yes, Nigel.
I think it's a bit late, but you can take the 10 minutes utuambie what you've been up to for the last 2 weeks.
Me, okay, I've been good. I've been writing some articles here and there to
What's interesting in
obviously
the tech space?
expanding. Currently in the tech space, there's a lot. Since we were last year, Snapdragon released a new chipset, the 8 Elite. New phones have been released back to back. We are potentially. I noticed something. I don't know if you saw the tweet. We are potentially seeing the return of the Find X series back in Kenya. Possibly, there's a possibility, because the Find X8 is going to be launched in the UK. When is it? The 21st, during the global release. And Oppo Kenya have a live stream pending for that day. So we are yet to see. Hopefully they bring it back. I'd love to see what they're up to, because see, the last one was the Find X5. So we've not had the 6, the 7, and now, yeah. So we'd love to see them back. Xiaomi, I've had all of that. So yeah. So there has not been much traffic. Honestly, it has been a boring. I guess umeona kumekuwa na PS5, the PS5 Pro, watu wakitoa reviews, but it's neither same. So hopefully we get something interesting. And there's something I think we can talk about the next space, and it was about companies. It was what are we talking about? Well, my stream of thought is failing me, but there's a time we had talked about companies showing us how their phones are ultra durable, and we've seen that with Infinix. And yeah, I'd love to see people take on that, because I have videos from Infinix, I have videos from Honor. So I'd love to see your take on that, on companies promising guys of ultimate safety with glass phones. So yeah,
niliona walipea Duncan moja apige na nyundo.
Duncan alivunja hiyo simu bwana. And I was really happy at almost, it was at the eighth hit. That thing went is it an AMOLED screen?
I don't know.
Yeah, ilienda tu the screen there's a point middle of the screen ilikufa, but it's still functional. So and we saw Oppo doing that during the Reno 12 launch. So hopefully we can talk about that, and companies trying to show clients how they're nini. Hopefully sasa from now on but it's been a boring tech. It's been a boring
but there's
tech,
something
man.
very interesting that was released.
What was that?
The Mac Mini.
we were to talk about the Mac Mini. Well, I was happy about if I have $600 to spend right now, I'd take a Mac Mini
The base
over a
model.
MacBook Pro M1. Yeah, the base is more than enough for what I do. I don't need all that power. That power is OP.
It's a very nice.
It's OP. Would you buy it?
I'm not very big into desk setups, so I don't have a monitor. I don't have those keyboards, those clicky keyboards. I don't have all those flashy things. So I don't like being constricted to one place. I use my MacBook on my desk like 100% of the time, but sometimes napenda kwenda na kunywa white cup na hapo nikiwa na nini, na siwezi enda na Mac mini.
Unabeba
Okay,
Mac
naweza
Mini
enda
na
nayo but
portable.
sasa nikatumia kwa TV yao hapo, TV moja.
Ununue portable monitor na kabag.
Wow. But yeah, it's a pretty, for people who are into people like Jesse, people who are into desks and all those other things, those fancy stuff that work. Those developers would need like 3 screens. I don't need 3 screens. Those people, I think I don't think there is a better, unless you are a gamer, I don't think there is a better for that price, a better desktop for that price, even on the PC side.
And the smallest one I saw that comes close to the Mac Mini size for the equivalent power costs about it's equivalent power but more storage and RAM. Comes at around 3,000 USD. That's the cheapest same size mini PC that can rival a Mac Mini in power but not price. For the price, I think the Mac Mini is a wonderful deal. I think people have already, in the tech space, the guys that I follow have already started planning on getting the Mac Mini. I think it's already on sale already because it was on pre-order. People are already planning to get it as soon as next year. So we'd love to see how they talk about, because it's extremely small, 5x5. That's a really now it doesn't consume space. It can a lot of I/O you have, but it's mostly USB-C though, and a Thunderbolt. I'd love to see how it plays out.
It's a very interesting thing. For people who edit a lot of content, for content creators, like editors, like these people who are working for tuseme how kina Payless, and you are getting all this 4K footage and you have to edit it. It's a very good thing.
Yeah, but nimeona there are people who are already wana strain hiyo machine. Imefika point the 16 GB is actually really commendable, but nimeona kuna watu washaanza the really top end developers who run AI and machine learning models akina Llama 3.2 I've seen guys who have been able to put pressure on the memory who have already put memory pressure. But for normal use case like me, if I'm doing analytics work or I'm writing an article or I'm tweeting or I'm watching something,
not for normal work, kwani you can do a lot with that machine, bro.
I don't think I usually don't have I don't edit.
Kama venye tulikuwa tunasema ati MacBook Air is for people who browse the web. This is a very powerful machine.
But they say, will you get the 16 GB M3 Mac Mini? Because we may refresh your M2 and the M3 but with 16 GB.
Sasa Mac Mini ama Air?
Your Air, just your normal Air, but bump it to 16 with the same price that you bought yours.
There's nothing that has ever slowed down on my Mac. So I use it for web browsing, bwana. I don't think I need to upgrade, my boy, unless it's just for review.
Then there's no need. Iko fit.
So, but if you are something like Jesse, unaona venye ana shooting na a very big camera, ina shoot 8K bwana.
Inakwanga alpha.
Miss G. Hiyo sasa akiedit hizo na Mac Mini ana feel vizuri sana.
Na kona 4K monitor kwanza kazi na kwa setup. Ni tajiri. Jesse nunua M4.
Hao ndio watu wanahitaji hizo, sio sisi. And people who code and do whatever. and write a lot of programming, Python na JavaScript. Like kuna kadem kalikuwa hapa kanafanyanga ni hebu ni DM aya. I think nimechoka. Ngoja. What are your thoughts on Payless as an app, with all the promises that have been made? The whole thing,
personally,
the Payless X, Y, Z yote ikiwa pamoja, because right now it's still very hard. But ikiwa yote, what do you think of it as an app?
It would, if it was shipped as a whole, bila all these miles, because for them XYZ ni milestones, and easy milestones, to be honest, frustrate me. Like si nimesema, I'm in their 18 to 24, mi niko kwa, I'm in their demographic, that's I fit perfectly. But what can't make me move from, I use Loop. I was really reluctant to say Loop, but I use Loop originally. I use Loop for everything, from receiving payments, kasa inaendea their Visa card cash or whatever day. I use Loop for paying Spotify. I use Loop for paying whatever I'm paying. Hata kwa mat, I use Loop.
What would make you move from Loop?
Honestly, be cheaper than whatever Safari, be cheaper than M-Pesa tariffs. That is my only question. And don't tell me story ya P2P. I don't want to hear P2P, because when I'm paying using Loop, I don't use Loop. I don't use Loop to Loop. I don't pay Loop to Loop. That it's very, not a lot of people have Loop to Loop. I usually pay Loop to M-Pesa, and Loop as compared to M-Pesa is usually around 3 bob to 4 bob cheaper, depending with whatever I don't do big transactions, but it's really cheap as compared to whatever Payless was offering. And I remember you did the comparison with the 1,000 bob, trying to send.
I'll do those mathematics tomorrow.
Yeah, do the calculations, but you see, by that, me, I'm using the former calculations that we had. If you use the former calculations, it becomes so expensive, and you know how transaction costs hurt. Your pesa ni ukiweza accumulate, it becomes a lot of money. So until if they can come with a better offering than Loop, if they come with, honestly, Loop's UI is better, because I asked Derrick about I had asked him about these things, graphs za pesa umetumia, like ona hizo tu aesthetics tudogo zenye mtu anataka kuona. Unajua when you are launching an app for young people ama mabadi, wacha niseme hivyo, if you are launching an app for buddies, unafaa kuweka a high level of aesthetic plus a high level of usability. So umeniekea
for buddies.
Sasa una launch app inakaa ina stand, and it's not, I'm not saying that Payless's UI is bad, but if you look at Loop, okay, I also have grievances with Loop. I hope we can reach out to them, walete mtu mmoja tubonge na yeye hapa, tumuulize the hard questions. But unaona hata si by the Nigel Kev Mulei wa NRG was on the space. I think he's still on the space. Tazamuita tuongelele radio, can speak about tech na radio and all of that. But anyway, whatever I was saying, if you look at how I use Loop, I go on Loop, because if you look at what Payless is moving, vile wanasema they're going to Y and Z, Loop has Y and Z, milestones Y and Z.
That is why I'm saying Loop, talk of it as a finished product. What do you think about the whole thing?
As a finished product, as a finished product, if they'll become cheaper, and their analysis for financial assuming expense versus income is improved with even machine learning and making it better for you as a consumer. Trust me, I'd move.
Yeah, because the whole selling points are, from what I've deciphered, is we are going to have this and this, and we are going to have this and this, and this is our plan, and we are building together. So yeah, it's a promise of something great. Whether they deliver, we wait and see. Just like I've told the guy. But kwanza ikianza, I was very skeptical and I was very vocal about it. Wakasema watani abduct. Anyways,
Ulipigwa mawe.
Anyways, I think niko na mambo mingi kwa akili, but see, we will do this next week, and then we can talk about all the other things. Even the Mac Mini, we can talk about it at length.
Yeah, we can
And
do that next week.
na nikipata mse
Hata
wa loop,
tukipata
nitaka-
hata Kev Mulei, if you are listening to us bana, fungua DM, we can reach out, kuja tubonge. Hatuwezi kosa maswali za kuuliza about the current state of technology and young people and all of that. Do be kuwa tu approachable kidogo, tukukujie, we ask you some few questions. It's not as hard vile tumeendea Payless because we needed concrete answers, but hopefully we get some people from Loop, and even we can get people who will make these apps, because one thing I have seen, Payless went aggressive marketing. Ni kama how these guys are doing ads on Twitter, and I'm not moved by aggressive marketing personally, but if we can have them come and sit down, watubongeshe, tusikie story zao. Yeah, we can. I'd love to have guys from Loop, since I'm a user. I can now speak from because hata juzi nimewaambia, they have a lot of, even Loop themselves, hata kama I praise them, they have a lot of missing gaps, a lot. Si ati they are saints as well.
Yeah, there's a
Itabidi
lot of
wakuje.
there are a lot of things we can talk. We can get more info from these people who are building this kind of apps. So umeongea juu ya aggressive marketing, and before I end this, I saw someone tell Duncans, bwana umeanza kutubo.
Yeah, I remember. We were talking about that. Ni jana. Is it yesterday?
I don't know. So
Yeah.
And it was very interesting because it was something najua mtaniita hela, and Duncan is my friend, lakini branch na iko kila mahali, hata mimi inanibo.
Unapatanga ads za branch?
Hapana, like I see those screenshots. Sai mimi napatana za US tu hizo ads, and it's only when I'm on my phone.
US.
But I've seen those screenshots and they are watu ni kama wamechoka. So I think we should have a sit down with these content creators, kina Jesse, and they tell us, how are you going to weed out good content? Okay, you are a content creator. How are you going to weed out and weigh your more or whatever, and think, okay, this money is good money, but I'm making money here, na hii inaweza haribu hapa, and you ufanye hiyo balancing, and uone, okay, you know what, I don't have to take up every offer I get in my DMs, you know, I don't have to promote every product I get. I don't have to say every one of these devices is good, like, because at the end of the day, I feel kuna mahali utafika uchosha watu kabisa. I think we should have this, because I've been ni mara mingi sana nimeambiwa, oh, you've been paid by this, oh, you've been paid by hawa, unalipwa na Starlink, sijui unalipwa na SAF, and it's not actually the
TikTok.
Yeah, so it's not actually the case. So when it's actually happening, I would assume people lose trust in you very quickly.
Yeah,
maybe you should have that
and also
conversation, and see how someone can balance from monetizing their craft without actually ruining the craft, because kama Duncan, he makes a lot of good content, but once he makes this one whatever content and people go at it like that, and when you become such a significant figure, people are going to scrutinize all the time. So I think I like talking about content creation and monetizing content creation. So when I see something like that, and it's something that I know maybe one day I'll face, I like to see how maybe I would go about it, you know, and talk with someone else. Ndio nisikae ni kama we you'll never reach there. Uta reach pia wewe. Utakuwa tu na hizi problems.
Naja nilikuanga, I was in town on Friday. Nilikuanga hizo maeneo za Cookie House and I was having a discussion na boys wetu hapo wa Twitter. And mmoja akaniambia waliletewa gig na company fulani ya Orange ya ma earbuds. And you know, several of them had to turn down the gig because they do not deal with, like, it's ni kama it's the brand is like a mini Oraimo for accessories, earbuds, power banks, watches, whatever. And guys, and to the point ya content creation, the guys literally had to like drop it. I think we can have them again. I can call them. They said they had to drop the gig because they don't deal with such, like, and not on a bad way, such extremely cheap brands, like, because unajua ukuja usign contract ambayo ni influencing, utasema oh this is good, oh this is good, oh this is good. And I remember Jesse even on WhatsApp even sent a link to one of easy channels, MKBHD the studio, at around minute 47:11, 47:11, the guy wa marketing wa the Marquez team, he mentioned something important. I'll share the video later, but he said you should find a balance between paid, especially paid what is it, paid reviews or something like that. And you remember also a time a month ago, the same issue happened. Duncan's was caught under fire with this dude. What was this dude's name? Who caught all tech creators? Anaitwa Kelvin Demo, the dev. And
Oh yeah, I remember.
Kelvin Demo had attacked almost all tech creators, telling them, oh this, oh this, oh this. And under that, Duncan's also caught under the fire again. And so we have to come up with, like, where is it that you can tell a brand no, and I will not. Ni kama who decried, you tell them no, and I will not do this for you. I'm not at the level where I get devices. I'm not there. I'm still small. But where does it, for the guys already grounded in the space where brands send you devices every month? Oppo wamerelease, wako na wewe hivyo. How grounded are we to tell? Because we are currently,
I'm just going to tell you right now, these people are not making honest reviews. I'm just going to tell you right now, they are not making honest reviews. But wacha tumalizie tu hapo hiyo story. I think when we finally have that conversation, it's a very tricky conversation, but when we finally have that consensus of okay bro, mimi nime review this device, I think it's us, I think it's trash. Wewe umereview, umeona inakupendeza, wewe ambia your audience that, mimi niambie my audience this. But when all of them ni kama, and I sent Jesse a video he put on kwa status yake, and I told the guy, this guy amesema sijui what device it was 3 point something millimeters. Nikamwambia, are you 100% sure people who are watching this content? Because when I first saw it I was like, okay, ulipima hiyo millimeters ama what happened? You can just see this guy is reading from somewhere. It's something nika brochure amepewa akaambiwa say this and this. So I think venye tutakaa kwa consensus, because ukianza kuambia mtu sahi anaona ni kama you are hating on their craft, but because they do make great content, but kunafika mahali unaona we are doing something wrong as content creators, but I guess money comes first.
Yeah. At time. Definitely. Next Thursday, same time.
Yeah, we do sure. If we have another guest, sawa.
Yeah. Utasema tu. Ongea na watu wali. Junajua unajuana na wao. Bonga nao vizuri.
All right. Thank you, man.
Good night.
Cheers. Thanks everybody for coming.